That only took us 8 minutes.
8 minutes. Awesome.
I could have made a baby at the time. Cute.
Okay. So let's start. Thank you. We've got a couple on Zoom here, Tash and Jackie. Jackie, I hope you can see us. Or I'm just going to try and keep the chat. Oh, okay. So not sure about that, but at least you can hear us, and we've got Tash having a beautiful cup of tea, kid-free coffee at the moment. So welcome to the Way of the Gifted Goddess series. And awesome, Jackie, you can see us both now. And it's kind of very impromptu, really. I've always had this intention of having a series where I get to interview amazing goddesses, and Patty Ann is the number one person who came, and she prompted me to do this, and I'm so excited to have her here. And it's kind of like this, right? It's a very casual sharing, and the reason why I love sharing these amazing women is because we can share our gifts to a wider community, to more sisters and brothers, and there's just it's a beautiful platform. It's easy, it's free. There's a few little tweaks along the way that we could fix, but hey, so for the next, I don't even know how long this is going to be. The reason I did it at 3 o'clock was because, there's a lot of mums waiting in the car for their kids, and, if it goes for half an hour to an hour, who knows? So are we going to open up for questions later, Lovey, at the end?
But if the kids are in the car, do we want to ask those questions?
Well, we don't know that. We don't know that, so.
Well, I'm open.
We don't know. Yeah. Cool. So I've just got a few questions here that I wanted to ask Patty Ann, but first I want to do the official introduction to her, for those who can try to chat here and all this. So Patty Ann, her website is at innersparksystems.com.
Yeah, I'm transferring over to my name though, because people remember your name.
Beautiful. Yeah, sure. And you're looking gorgeous there. I'll be top, please. Anyway,
yeah.
So Patty Ann is Australia's leading sex and intimacy specialist whose passion is to see men and women of all ages enjoying amazingly intimate and connected sex lives, drawing from a range of disciplines. Patty uses her 10 years plus experience to discover what's holding you back, introduce you to new strategies and ideas, and lead you down your own path of self-acceptance, knowledge and connection. With hundreds of delighted clients now enjoying much more connected, intimate and mind-blowing sex, Patty is highly sought after all around Australia as a keynote speaker and consultant. And it's a real treat for me because she's coming to Melbourne at the end of this month, and we're going to share how you can come and see her live, but that's not what this is really about. And we're going to share I'm going to delve right into her content here. Yep. I met Patty Ann actually a year ago. It was a year ago, 12 months ago, kind of to the day, very close. So it feels like I've been, you're my long lost sister. So with that, I'm just going to jump in. All the hoo-ha. We don't do hoo-ha. So Patty Ann, share with us your personal story and like what even led you into this work that you're doing, you sexy goddess.
I suppose I've always been open, but as a young child or even as a teenager, I used to get shut down a lot, like literally asked to shut up or shush or you're too much or don't be rude. And it wasn't like I was like forever talking about sex at a young age, but I was just very expressive. I was always asking questions, but I was always continually shut down. But I was always curious. I've always wanted to know how people worked. And I literally get caught staring at people because I'm like sitting there just looking and gazing and really, really trying to understand people. Like you'll catch me, I could be in public and I'm sitting there not checking them out. I mean, these times where I will check out talented, beautiful people, but like I'm looking at people going, I'm wondering, I'm ticking over and I'm just watching and just noticing what's going on for them. But then equally, I'm just as good as doing that to myself as well. So I'm really into the whole self-acceptance and self-awareness, because, you know, when we identify what we need to change, if we need to change it, then we can grow even more. But I got started officially because I was doing Tupperware 7 years ago. And I used to kill it at parties.
The real Tupperware?
Yeah. I'd go to houses.
The real Tupperware.
Yeah. And people would tell me what's going on for them. And then I told my best friend the kind of conversations I'd had with these people. And she goes, you know, that's not normal, like for people just to spill their guts and to, you know, really just everything out. I went, really? I thought it was like a normal thing. She goes, no. So then that's when I sort of went and got educated around it, because I realized that I had some kind of gift. Couldn't really put my fingers on it, but I just knew it was in the sex and relationships, and how lots of shame and guilt, whatever, you know, surrounding that. So I just wanted to dive into it more. And so that's what I've just been forever educating myself in anything to do with intimacy, sexuality. It sounds like that's all I do 24/7. But then I've got boys, so even holding the space for my sons and how to have conversations with them. Like I'm open, but it's not like I'm open where I just tell them everything. I just hold that space for them so they can feel comfortable to talk about this conversation, because there's a fine line between being totally open where you're like, oh my God, that's too much, or you know, just being able to be there for someone so they can speak their truth. And then and basically but
I'm just gonna cut it.
No,
whenever I feel like it.
Yeah, come in and join us.
I love I love that you say that about, you know, teaching our children, because, and the shame of, like my daughter, she's 11, and she says, you know, when they have the sex education things at school, she said, oh Mum, I'm going to have to do that. Can you write, and it's so surprising, can you write me a letter so I don't have to go there? And I just looked at her and went, do you not know the work I do? Like, and I went, why would you say that? She goes, oh Mum, it's like, it's embarrassing. I said, no, it's not embarrassing. There shouldn't be any shame around that. So you're not going to get a letter. But yeah, thank you. And you've got boy in love too, but it's kind of
So even with that, like with your daughter, like, and with my son, if they said that to me, I'm like, what exactly is embarrassing about it? Like, is it because do you know, really going in deeper? And so my sons, the older two, are now sexually active, and so the questions that they ask me, I mean, like if it was a client, I'll be all good, but because of my children, I'm like, okay, go to a happy place, you know, and they share with me what's going on for them, and they, you know, need some tips, and I'm like, so I just get into that zone. Okay, so he needs help in this area, so I just ask lots of questions, because it's not always about the knowledge that we can give to our clients or to our children. It's about what they actually need, but you can't know that until you ask them questions. And so that's a big thing that we need.
Totally. I love that. So it's so interesting. You went from Tupperware, and that's not all you did, I'm sure, like before, to this sex and intimacy and creating connection for people. So well, this is what this is all about, right?
I literally did that huge jump. I just went, there's a calling. It was a huge calling. How can I go out there and learn about this so I can teach it, so I can get people more connected? I used to go into people's homes because that's how you have parties, and I could see couples disconnect because, you know, naturally we've got these gifts. And so I would see that, oh my God, like I literally could just see the person's pain. And that's why I would ask them, you know, I'm there to just sell Tupperware, but and I would just, you know, just ask them. So that's how it got, and I literally jumped from there to what I do, because I just knew that you don't go to people's homes and see what you see, and then must be a bigger reason for why I do it. So that's why I went like that literal jump, and just jumped into it.
And just jumped in Tupperware,
and so that's probably and that's my whole life. I just jump. Yeah.
I love that. And I think that's been my experience of you too, is, I love the steering too. It's that people watching and that empath, and definitely I've seen things in your hands. We'll talk to that later, but there's that energy, and so created this intimate space for people to open up, and even more deeper about sex and intimacy, which is kind of leads me to the next question of what does intimacy mean, and what does it mean for you, and because it's kind of a mystery to some.
Well, it was actually a mystery to me, and so I'm brutally honest, we often teach what we need to learn, and so I don't hide that fact. And so whilst I was good at sex, I was fantastic at sex, I could have been a porn star, but intimacy is a whole different genre, because intimacy is that connection to yourself. You literally have to love yourself fully and really know yourself, and then when you can really connect to yourself and know yourself on a true level, unpacking stuff that you might not want to see, then you can connect equally amazingly to your lover. Now, I'm not saying that I'm up here and I'm perfect at it, because as we know, if we're unaware, it's a continual growth. And so I just have no shame around it. I just this is how it was for me, and this is what I'm learning, and I share my knowledge and my learnings along the way. So intimacy is a real personal thing. I always laugh about that movie, I think, The Love Guru, Mike Myers. I mean, if you want to have a laugh about it, that movie was so funny because it talks deeply about intimacy, but it uses humor. And that's a lot of reasons why I use humor while I teach. It's not to make fun of it, and it's not to laugh at it. It's just because humor breaks state. It takes yours, because when you put your emotions into it, you're so emotionally invested, and you can't move through that because you literally are stuck in your shit. And I know, because there's lots of times I hide when things get too much, and so and that's when you need to get really, really honest with yourself. And so intimacy honestly starts with you. And when you see something, like when your lover pisses you off or anything like that, you have to ask yourself the question, what exactly upset you? Some people don't even get to that state of intimacy though, because they won't even allow themselves to feel. So they block it. They literally won't even let their lover come into their own space. So
sorry.
No.
You're going to slap me up.
No.
Because there's a difference between just having sex and having intimate sex, right? That's kind of what I'm feeling that you're where you're going with this.
Yeah.
And what's the difference? And that kind of leads me, why do women push that away? But not just women. I think men do that as well. Can you speak to?
Okay, yeah. And I've got to keep on tracks, because then I get my brain goes, I'm like, come back. Yeah. So we've got the I just had lunch today, and we were talking about fucking. And so when I spoke to this lady, she goes, oh, that's just when you go and have sex with someone else. I said, yes, it can be, but fucking within a relationship that is just you two is that primal expression of having sex, and fucking has been used in a word which is quite derogatory. So that's when I say there's that type. Then there's the sex with intimacy, and so that is when you allow your guards to come down, and that is scary as shit, because then you're allowing that person to come in. And so I'm part of Dancing Eros, and I loved how she put it when she was sharing that with us when we were talking about the erotic mother archetype, without getting all woo-woo. But she says, we've got our little girl, and that can be wounded from childhood, whatever. So I get sick of, for instance, do I have to talk to that little girl again? Can't I just get on with my life? It's like, oh, this shit again.
Already.
Yeah, we've done that already. Let's move on. Oh, this shit again. And so how I love that she explained it when it comes to intimacy is you want to be that, you want to be that soft, gentle little girl that talks to that, that hurt little boy. But then you want to fuck the man, and he equally wants to do the same to you. So how can you have that ebb and flow where it just flows together? And that's the big thing, that when you have those real conversations where you let the guards down, where you state your desires, that's how it will unfold. Yeah, that's how it does unfold. Yeah. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Totally. And it's such a vulnerable space for both, right? So it's letting yourself, be vulnerable, and what's my that shame or that whatever that is. So
and I just have to add that if you can ask yourself this question, I've just been asking myself recently, when it comes to letting that vulnerability in, if you can ask yourself, even before any sex is entered into wherever you choose to have sex, if you can ask yourself the question, what is my dirty little secret, or what is that huge amount of shame could be doing with anything that I've got? There's only one. If someone found out about it, what would that mean? And we've all got one, right? So if you identify that question for yourself, then your ability to connect intimately with yourself and your lover will be so much easier, because you've already spoken about it. It's out in the open. It's like when someone is gay and they come out. They don't have to hide anymore. So when you identify that dirty little secret, if that's how you call it, it makes it so your life is just so much better. And so I identified mine, and I'm like, you've got to be kidding. And and then once that's happened, then you just can get on with it. You don't have to let that be your BS story.
Yeah, love that. Wow. So how can we attract more intimacy into our lives then?
I always say be more playful, and it's not like a flirtiness where you I'm laughing, a personal joke, because as I was gonna sort of do the mean girl, like everyone knows the mean girl, and we've all got it in us, so don't lie to yourself. But those girls that you see, we've all got it, like, be honest. And so when you see those kind of girls that are just flirts, and they're like, your man's next to you, and they're just like flirting up, and you go, oh my God. I'm not talking about that kind of playfulness, because that's just being a hoe. I'm talking about playful, like you don't take yourself so seriously. You can dance, like you and I love dancing. And it's not because we're professional dancers, it's because we don't give a flying shit what anyone else thinks of us while we're dancing. Because, you just let your body feel the music and you let go. So being playful with yourself and just not having all these, oh my God, what if I move my hips the wrong way? Like, what is she going to think of me? Or what is he going to think of me? Like, when we get that out of the way and just have a sense of fun about ourselves and take ourselves so much more lightly, because I'm like the biggest critic of myself. I'm so hard on myself. Like, I come across, and I am confident in a lot of areas, but these my dirty little secrets that I have, and it's like that is my core of hurt. And so if that gets identified, and that's why we keep playing back to that one. And so we've got to be so much more gentle on ourselves. And when I see myself being a mean girl to myself, I'm like, oi, be nice to you. So that's a constant reminder. Just, be more carefree and not worrying about what other people think of you.
It's a huge thing what other people think of us.
You could do a workshop on you could do a workshop on that, but I'm just, like, even when I walk out the door and I go for coffee, I smile at people at the coffee shop, like people that serve me, I tell them to stay amazing, and I sincerely mean it, because that's just how I roll. And then I attract it in, then they smile back at me, and we have these like amazing conversations because I've chosen to be open with them, But like I can read energies well. So if I see creepy person over here, I will block their ass. Do you know what I'm saying? Yeah. So you don't go out and just be free to every pixie that comes across here. But like if I just go
everywhere.
Just have some of my love. Here you go. So like I'm very mindful because I was like that. I was just like spreading my love everywhere, and it would be spat back in my face. And so, yeah, I'm very mindful like who I share that love with. And when I can feel that energy, I'm just like, okay, protection.
Yeah, and there's kind of a funny thing too, like just when you said that, when we're too much, that can be an intimacy a breaker as well.
Yeah.
About it's too much, and the person on the other end's like, what I don't like too much.
Yeah, I go. What's going on?
Māori heritage. Yeah. So it can be that, and even when people talk too much in like a friend who doesn't share, they can talk, but they're not saying much, So there's no depth there. It's just like, because I don't want you to see that I'm vulnerable. I love this. This is awesome.
Yeah. And that an exchange of energy, you've got to be mindful. So not just always giving, but that receiving as well needs to be equal.
Yeah, beautiful. So there's just there's a couple of people who are actually live on the Zoom here that I just want to bring up. Jackie, she's just said, so thank you, Jackie, for this. Also, what's the difference between intimacy and intimate sex? Or did we just cover that?
No, we didn't. Intimacy is, it can be the same, but it's sort of along the same theme. So we'll say it's along the same thing, because intimate sex is sex and intimacy is over here. But it's sort of the starting point, I guess, to have intimate sex. So as we said at the start of the core, is by being intimate with yourself. And we're not just talking about masturbation, we're talking about being honest with yourself, that self-awareness. Like for me, my biggest learning for me, so I'll share some of my stuff so they can start thinking about what they need to do with themselves. My biggest thing is I have the most hugest heart, and I can just love so many people. I have the capacity to love lots of people. But I have had an incapacity to love myself as equally as I love other people. And so, as I'm saying this, my voice is getting croaky. So for me, it's like, and so for me, it's like, why can't I love myself as equally, or if not more, as much as I love everyone else? Even all the assholes in the world that have chucked it back at me. And so self-awareness here for me would be, why can't you love yourself more, Patty? What is it that you're afraid of? Why don't you think you deserve this? Why don't you think you're worthy of that much love? And so those are the questions that I continually ask myself all the time. So the journey I am now, whilst I'm doing it, is my health. I'm not sick or anything like that, but I was part of my story that I was in an abusive relationship, so, domestic violence. And so I chose to stay overweight. And while I love my body and I do have there's a confidence with a lot of what I do, I've still chosen to stay, I think, about 20 kilos overweight. People don't believe me, go, you're not 20. I mean, yep, I am. And it's because I'm protecting myself. And so then I would ask myself, these are the questions I've asked myself. Why are you protecting yourself, Patty? Why don't you want a person to get closer to yourself? Like, I'm being totally raw and honest about this, because I want the listeners to do the same for themselves. Because when you start asking yourself those really ouchy questions, you'll get breakthroughs, and you'll go, oh my God, this is why I do that. And not so you can beat yourself up, but just have that awareness. You go, okay, that doesn't serve me anymore. How can I change that? How can I do something that's so much more loving towards myself? So that's why I started keto. Love all the food on there. So I just eat, those foods and whatever's best for your body. And that's what I think. And I've got, like, it's in a wine glass, but it's lemon water because it makes me feel like I'm drinking wine. But whatever works for you. But that's my self-love, is nurturing myself through food, because that's how I show love to my children. They love it when I cook for them. So then I'm turning it back to myself, like cooking myself beautiful food and nurturing myself as much.
What is it, Patty? Is it
keto? Keto. So it's high fat, Yeah, keto. Yeah. So high fat, a little bit of protein and low carbs. Yeah. And because it's all the food that I love, like it's, meat and some green vegetables, you cook it in butter. It's like being back home, but there's no bread or anything like that. Yeah. So, for brain clarity, it works for me. So,
yeah. And you're going to find out what does work for you, right?
Yeah.
I had a retreat.
Yeah.
No, totally. I had a retreat just recently, and it was all vegan. Rachel, so haunted eating. She just best food, and we loved it. Vegetarian, but one of the women there, when she got out, she said, "I just had to have this big steak because it didn't suit my body, but it was fine." But I like that. Yeah. So I have one child home, actually. How interesting is that?
What did you say?
Just shut the door for you. I've got one child home. I'm just gonna. It's all good. It's all good. I want you to tell us about the play shops, that you're going to do in Melbourne, and what you're going to be teaching us. Yeah, tell us all about it.
If you've just jumped on now, rewind and go and listen. So it's the essence of how do you create your new normal within the play shop. So what we do is, apart from being so hard on ourselves, is the conversations I've had on the last day, just today, is about people telling me what they don't like. They tell me what their partner is like, what he's doing that is just horrible. It's just like this long list. And I mean, but have you stated it in the way you wanted it? And then I asked them that question, and then they got blank. I'm like, okay, so that's just the basics, right? Then once you get through the basics, it's like, well, how do you bring that into your life? And how do you get connected? What do you need to let go of from the past? And most of it's trauma. And what trauma do you need to let go of so you can bring in that beautiful intimacy?
Yeah. Sorry.
Got feedback. Yeah. And so like the whole spiel is, on the For JJ Diaries sort of page, but what we just shut ourselves down, and we allow ourselves to be robots. We allow ourselves just to be, I've got kids, and we're like an Uber service. We cook and clean, and then we're trying to fit in our partner, and it just feels like on the to-do list. And so, but the question I want to get people to ask themselves, well, when women actually allow themselves to have those intimate, amazing, orgasmic times with our partner, they love it. That's my noisy dog. Shush. Yeah. But because they've got the list here, they put it at the bottom. They put themselves last. Just what I was talking about, self-love for me was like, no, we need to be on the top of the pile. And by being on the top of the pile, all this flows so much better. I know it, because every time I put myself at the bottom, shit doesn't work. I put myself up the top, and it just flows. I mean, I'm from a generation that my mum's a martyr, and she does everything apart from wipe our backsides. And so, for us to put ourselves first, it's frowned upon, because we think, we're a mother, like we don't get to put ourselves first. It's selfishness, and then we don't even want to feel that, because then we feel like that yearning, like we're missing out. We have FOMO. So
but that energy too. So it's having that sexual experience, like that's feeding us as well. You can see when someone has had a great night before, they're glowing, right? And then everything else flows better the next day. Yeah. It's kind of like that shutdown. If you're shutting yourself down there, you're shutting down in other areas, right? And I know you're going to speak to that on the workshop. So tell me, so the workshop's on the 30th of October, isn't it? 30th. Oh, sorry. 28th of October. It's a Sunday. Well, I better know, because it's actually at my party. So it's actually in a very intimate space. And it's all day.
Yeah,
so it's a whole day.
Yeah, and we've only got limited spaces, and I always, when I see that on sales pages, I'm like, so wanky.
I know.
But I want it really intimate, because it's so much more better. Like the conversation flows more. it's a lot more easier for the participants to open up. Like they'll be opening up with, you know, very quickly. And I know I want to speak to the negative Nelly that they might think, oh my God, these two things that they might think, oh my God, if I go, she'll find my secret, and I don't want anyone to know. I'm holding it on so tight to protect it. The thing about me is I can see that, and so I'll only sort of give you that soul push if you want to, and you will want to, because you've had enough of pain and you don't want to live up. Yeah. So you tuned up, you showed up for yourself. The other thing which I get a lot of is, oh no, my sex life's all good. I'm all good, girl. I got it going on. I've done those ones. There's nothing you can teach me. But it's actually not what I can teach you sexually. It's about how do you connect with sisterhood, which you do a lot of. Because when you actually connect to your sisters, I've only probably just realized this, is I met you at Tantra, and so these men in the room, and so, you know, I'm in my alley once, you know, like I'm all good, but I'm part of this group at the moment, and these women only, and you have to show up, you have to fully show up, because I didn't have men I can hide behind. I didn't have that energy that I could hide, because sisterhood brings out a whole different type of you. And so that's why it's women only in this particular one. Yeah. It's because we talk about the mean girl. We talk about how we compare ourselves to others. We talk about all that head stuff that you think you're the only one that speaks about it, but it's all up there. And we get it out, flop it on the coffee table. Like, I was going to say something totally inappropriate. And we speak about it. We speak to it. Yeah, and we have that conversation. Yeah.
and that's the thing, like, it's such we will, but it's going to be such a safe space. I mean, you know, my experience of you is that you do create these amazing spaces. So it's showing up.
And I will make fun of my stuff, so you can see how idiotic it is, how we're so hard on ourselves. And when you can laugh at yourself and go, oh my God, I can't believe I held on to that for most of my life. Oh my God, this is just, But it's not the laughter that you're dismissing it. It's just, it's a way of healing, and it's so much more gentler on yourself.
Yeah. And how are we going to feel when we leave?
Oh, you're going to be all juiced up, girl. Like, I'm serious. Like, even with my shows that I do, which is, it's a similar thing, but it's totally different. The feedback that I got was, oh my God, it's so much fun, blah, blah, blah. And I went, did you get some? And they go, yes, we went home and we had fun. Because you just, like, it's that naughtiness, you know, that, like, you're sneaking the last bit of chocolate that's not yours. It's the feeling of excitement, of playfulness, because you're being so much more kinder to yourself, and you're just feeling like you can do that on a daily basis, because you've got a touch of how that feels, and you'll want to do that continually. Yeah.
That's so awesome. I'm so excited.